What do you want? Revenge?
Tariq interfering in family business broke us.
Leave Anya alone. We don't need Noma coming around here sniffing out.
Keep your eyes on Tariq.
But no, when enough is enough.
Just say the word.
You can't kill me. Nothing can.
Now, we all know after episode 5 there will be a big 2-month break before we get episode 6. So, I'm expecting the mid-season finale to hopefully leave us with a lot of questions, mysteries, and maybe a cliffhanger or two. Lavelle Adams, who plays Drew, also teased, get ready to punch the TV. Make sure we've got our insurance in place when it comes to our TVs, because that's the kind of episode it's gonna be. So with that being said, there's the aftermath of Tariq finding out Diana is pregnant, and one of the biggest questions is, will Diana keep the baby? There's Tariq and Anya, this hallucination scene with him at Club Truth. I'm sure this is the episode where we'll also finally be introduced to who Detective Carter really is, and what he's capable of. With the Tejadas, Monet may have forgiven both Drew and Diana, but can Drew forget about what Monet did to Lorenzo and Gordo? Where will they leave the storylines for Braden, Kane, Noma, and Davis McLean? But, as usual, we are going to run through a quick preview of what we can expect in regards to all things episode 5, also bringing in a few quotes from some of the cast and crew as well. But let's start with the title and synopsis. Now, the title for episode 5 is Ego Death, and the synopsis reads, Tariq is sent on a journey of self-discovery that gives him clarity on what his path moving forward must be. As Monet fights to keep her family together, Detective Carter and his task force move in on the Tejadas. Now, in regards to what they mean by ego death, I personally believe ego death is in reference to Tariq being at Club Truth, where he in essence has this psychological shift, where he leaves behind who he was before, and finally accepts the fact he has to change his identity moving forward. Maybe he realizes Tommy was right after all. Maybe he realizes he's just like his father Ghost. We know he's been in denial for pretty much the entirety of Power Book 2 Ghost, but is this the moment where he finally comes to terms with who he's really becoming, everything he's lost, all the mistakes he's made, and who he now has to become to kind of survive the next chapter of his journey? Now, even though I feel like Tariq knows he's made some mistakes, I do feel like he will be making another. We've got Tariq and Anya at one of their underground parties, drinking, which is crazy. We know Tariq has had a hell of a lot going on recently, and to top it all off, he found out that Diana was pregnant, but resorting to alcohol definitely isn't the answer. However, could it also be a plan to eventually bring down Noma? I wouldn't be surprised if Tariq is just using her, because he definitely knows she's Noma's biggest weakness. Very similarly to how Kanan once used him in Power, where he began to turn him against Ghost. I can see Tariq thinking, this is how I can begin to turn the screw, but as I mentioned before, either way, I don't think alcohol is a solution, and I do think he is making a huge mistake with Anya. Him going after Anya will only put a bigger target on his family's back, because Noma will think, okay, if you're going after mine, I'm going after yours.
Leave Anya alone. We don't need Noma coming around here sniffing out.
Can't wait to see his body turn cold.
Now at some point, we'll also see Noma and Kane stumble upon their little underground operation, which Braden did warn would happen, especially if Tariq continues to mess around with Anya. But let's not forget what Braden did. He told Elle about how him and Tariq were planning to run their drugs through their underground parties, and these two women that they now have in their lives are definitely going to cause some trouble. With Anya, I wouldn't be surprised if Noma has eyes on her every single move, and that's how she uncovers Tariq and Braden's operation. But let's see what happens in the aftermath, because Noma certainly isn't going to be happy, that's for sure. Now, Tariq's troubles don't just stop with Noma. There's also Detective Carter, and of course, his and Diana's baby. We're also going to see them go to the clinic where Diana will have a scan. But what I'm interested to know is, where will Tariq and Diana's mindset be in terms of having this baby? Because there will be a lot of outside influence.
I've had some time to think. Some people told me this baby could be a fresh start.
Promise I'm gonna do everything in my power to get this family on the right track for your baby.
Some straight up told me to get rid of it.
If you have this baby, it's gonna be the worst decision you ever make in your life.
Honestly, the only thing that made sense was to listen to how I feel.
So will Diana and Tariq be on the same page? Will Tariq even question whether the baby is his? It certainly is going to be a challenging time for both. Diana's got a huge decision to make, and I'm sure she's going to think long and hard, where she's going to have to consider a lot of factors. For example, does she have the right environment? Can her and Tariq get past their betrayal and raise the baby together in the right manner? Will Tariq ever be accepted into the Tejada family? There's a lot that definitely needs to be considered. But with Tariq, he's still focused on getting revenge, which is what he's going to tell Braden while they're at this rooftop. He doesn't just want revenge, he wants more. He's going to say he needs to turn into the apex predator. But let's see, because I don't think all will fall Tariq's way in episode 5.
Do you think about anybody else but yourself for once in your fucking life? okay? I was out of this shit, and I doubled back to save your ass, and I lost my fucking family over it. My life is falling apart.
Now, this was an exclusive that dropped for episode 5, and even though I do agree with what Tariq said in regards to Braden having powder and revealing their operation to L, let's not get it twisted. Everything Braden said is 100% true. At times, Tariq can be very selfish, and it is a point I raised in my episode breakdown for 403. When it comes to his shit, Tariq drops everything at the drop of a dime. However, when it comes to Braden, he really doesn't care. But it is something I'm going to save my thoughts for my particular breakdown. But I definitely agree with what Braden said. Tariq can be very selfish. Now we've also got Braden, Tariq and Davis McLean, where we see them paying Davis his 20% share. And Davis is going to be really important for Tariq if he is to come out as the winner. However, even though he is perfectly positioned by Tariq, I would still advise to be very wary because of who he is. Effie warned him there's no such thing as trust and loyalty in the game that they're in, and I hope he's taken her advice on board. Now with law enforcement, we've got Detective Carter saying keep eyes on Tariq St. Patrick. However, with Carter, I did raise the point of how he seemed to brush aside a very good lead Kamal Tate seemed to get from Roman Price. He got the name of Marcus Zion Washington, who we're going to get to in just a second, but instead of acting on Tate's lead, he basically told him, know your role. And I do think this conversation between the two should tell us everything we need to know. Carter is dirty. So, we're going to see Carter coming face to face with Drew and one of his soldiers that he's got at gunpoint, which may or may not be at the same place where we see Monet unleashing a hell of a lot of gunfire. But this is what I meant about us finally learning about who Carter really is and what he's capable of. He knows these drug dealers are like cockroaches, impossible to eradicate. So, just how far is Carter willing to go? How far deep is he in the streets in terms of his connections? And could he also be connected to any kind of criminal organization? I certainly wouldn't be surprised, especially based on his previous conversations. Now on the flip side, we also have to remember Kamal Tate is a very good law enforcement officer, someone who's by the book and is very good at connecting dots. So, I do wonder if he'll rumble Carter, maybe not in episode 5, but at some point in season 4. Let's see what kind of seeds they begin to plant. Now with the Tejadas, we're going to see Monet trying to get her family back together. Unfortunately, I do think it is beyond repair. We might see them back in the Tejada household, but I just don't see them ever going back to normal. We're gonna hear Drew shout what family, and we all heard what Kane said. Drew is dead to him, and he's also done being a mama's boy. Kane always kind of seems to gravitate towards whoever gives him a sense of belonging and the respect he feels he deserves, and at this moment in time, it's Nomar. We're also gonna see Kane in this cage fight with Zion, with Nomar looking on from the top. But the first question we have to ask is, why is he here? As Zion figured out Kane may have torched Roman's product, as Zion stepped into Nomar's territory, and is Nomar asking Kane to deal with one of her competitors? But the next question we have to ask is, who wins? Will it be Kane or will it be Zion? Let's not forget, Davis McLean did say Zion grew up in this ring, so I don't think it's going to be such an easy fight. In the teasers and trailers it shows that Kane may be the one who's clearly on top, but is that how it ends? I do actually hope not, because I'm hoping Zion can be another big bad and a formidable force to be reckoned with. But let's see. We've all seen how Power introduced characters who look big, strong and tough, who have a connection to Tommy and Ghost, but then get rid of them in a heartbeat. Now at the Fight Club, we've also got Braden and Zion, and just like I mentioned before with how Zion has ties, or at least knows Ghost and Tommy, and what Tommy was like, I wonder what influence he'll have on Braden. We know how Braden's already turned to powder, but just how crazy will he really become this season? And could Zion potentially have an influence? Previously we've seen Braden wanting to kind of prove himself to Kane in the streets, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see something very similar with Zion. Now elsewhere with Nomar, we've also got her making moves with Wiley Adams in regards to her government contract she needs. Not wants, she definitely needs. But will this go as she hopes, or will she hit a bit of a stumbling block? We also see Nomar confronting Effie about some product, with Effie cutting across a bit of a worried look. We all know what Effie's done in the past in terms of cutting product for herself, because her end goal is still to go to Stanford. So I wonder if she's doing the same under Nomar's nose, and she's figured out what she's up to. Elsewhere there's also a couple of scenes from the official trailer we haven't seen yet. We've got Diana praying, and a meeting between Davis, Tariq, Nomar and Kane. So those are just a couple of scenes to keep in mind. But that's a preview of all things episode 5, an episode which will no doubt have a lot of twists and turns and a few more surprises. But I'm intrigued to know how they end part 1. We've got a big 2-month break before part 2, so let's see what they've got up their sleeve. What kind of twists will they hit us with, or what kind of cliffhangers will they leave us? Drop all your thoughts and predictions down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.